Hey, my name is Luke. I play in a band called the Dirty Nil. We're here in beautiful Chicago, and we're here with a digital tour bus to talk about gear. The only thing in life that matters, kids. All right, I guess we'll start with guitars. So, this is my favorite guitar in the world. This is a 1975 Les Paul Custom that I purchased in Chicago at the Music Exchange, actually. And a week after I bought said guitar, I was enamored with my new Excalibur. We were playing in Montreal, playing at a festival. We're playing on stage, and a lot of our friends and our kind of heroes, luckily, were actually at the side of the stage. And this guitar was put on a kind of a flimsy stand, and it started to teeter over. And none other than Fat Mike attempted to dive and save the guitar. However, you know, honest as efforts were, he unfortunately failed, and I gave it the old Gibson smile. All of this I have done. This thing was in pretty good shape when I got it, but it's just been playing cowboy chords on it and hammering on it. Also, the thing that basically made me buy it was, I'm not sure if you can capture it, but there's a Rolling Stones tongue right here. Can you get it? So it used to be a bit more defined, but since I've got it, this thing has even become more and more yellow. I put a super distortion pickup in the bridge and put this metal surround on it because I thought it looked really cool. And the neck pickup, which I pretty much never use, is extremely noisy and I think unpotted, but it's kind of cool if you're playing by yourself, whatever. So I've used the same strings forever, Ernie Ball Power Slinkies, 11 to 48, I believe. And we're in half step down tuning for most of the set. I do a top wrap because I feel that I break less strings that way. And I also like making the noise, and I don't know, Jimmy Page did it, so fuck it. What else can I say? So I usually keep the neck pickup at 0, do the Ace Frehley toggle switch trick. This extremely oxidized toggle switch, but it's still holding up pretty good. I keep the volume at 10 most of the time. I dial it back sometimes for some of our rare, kind of more sparkling passages. I actually remove the tone pot from the circuit. It doesn't work because tone knobs are for apologists, and they have no business in rock and roll. Yeah, other than that, oh yeah, I also I put metal washers on because I'm never gonna take this strap off, both ends. Just make sure. And then I get these $20 leather straps made around the corner from our house in Hamilton, Ontario, by Tundra Leathers. Very great company. But tuning is a half step down, E flat standard. That's most of the set. And then on a kind of more stripped down tour, I'll only bring 2 guitars, but this one I brought 3. So anyways, this is my favorite guitar. I love it. It's fucking sick. So I'll move to the next guitar then. So this is basically a stock, other than I put these Fender twin reverb knobs on it. Les Paul Custom from 2009 or so. I got it used, but it was in mint condition, and as you can see, I've put some love on it. There's a little bit of dried blood on there. I should get that off. Same thing with the strings, Ernie Ball Power Slinkies. This one's with a drop D, so that's actually a C sharp. So it's C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, D sharp. But this one's pretty stock. I messed with it a while back. I put super distortions and stuff, but I just switched it back to stock because I got bored with it. So that's my drop. This is my drop D guitar. So we use it on songs like Off Wiedersehen and Wrestle You to Husker Du, and when we play Unchained by Van Halen. So that's this one. Moving along, this is a 1990s Gibson 335. That I use for our open tuning songs, so it's basically open G, half step down with a drop D. So, in other words, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. It's not in tune very well right now, but we just got here and it's a little chilly here. But this is what I use for I Don't Want That Phone Call, Smoking Is Magic, Friends in the Sky, some other new songs that we're working on, Astro Ever After. You know, I kind of stole it from The Replacements and Keith Richards. I love the ability to kind of do a bar and bend within it. and all the kind of natural singing resonance that you have in this open tuning is enhanced by the hollow body format. So I really, really like this guitar for open. And then as I said, I dropped the D so that you can do really kind of low sounding. You can get some very interesting, weird sounds out of the guitar using that tuning. Octaves are strange in this tuning too. You use this kind of fingering. So that's kind of like, this is your open position in this tuning. So I don't top wrap this one, I just haven't, but I find I don't really break strings on this guitar too much. It's same gauge, Ernie Ball, power slinkies, 11 to 48. And again, I use the washers to make sure that this guy goes nowhere. And I haven't switched anything out. It's completely stock, and I like it that way on this one. All right, so this is my pedal board. First in line, I have my Peterson Strobo Stomp tuner. I really like it because I like the, I used to use the Boss one a lot, but then I found this one. I just thought it looked really cool, but I got used to how accurate it is. You wouldn't know because I'm out of tune half the time, but I just love this tuner. It's fucking bulletproof. And then I used to use a Memory Man pedal, but I just use it to kind of like finish out a song or whatever when I'm switching guitars, or I have to go back to tuning. But basically the function that I was using this vintage Memory Man for, I could just get immediately out of a freeze pedal, so I said fuck it, I finally got a freeze pedal. And I very rarely use it, but it's just to kind of switch things over. And then my main sound that I've used for many years is just 2 rat pedals. I have 1 rat pedal on all of the time, and I set it a bit lower, and Rat was kind enough to send us some new rat pedals, and so I'm just trying out these new fat rat pedals, and I think that they're probably the best rats they've made since the 80s. I really I've got a few original 80s ones. They're probably the best sounding ones I have, but these are a very close second. They made them with a built-in LED so you can see what you're doing, which is really helpful when you're playing at a high volume. And then I put these lock knobs on it because I found that I was putting tape across them, but if I wanted to make a minor adjustment in the set, I couldn't do that. So these lock knobs are really cool. You basically just lift them to change them, but other than that, they just stay the same, even if you're kicking them around. So I keep this one on all the time, and then I kick this one on top of it as a boost, and it's just the volume's a bit higher, the distortion's a bit higher, depending on what kind of guitar you play, but I just keep this one to fat, so it really, it's a really thick sounding boost to the whole thing. I struggled for years kind of trying to find a way to have like a good distortion main sound and then boost it up in terms of volume as well. And this was the solution that basically I just stumbled upon one day, and I've been doing it ever since. So yeah, we mostly travel with our own mics, just use a kind of whatever we have at the jam space that is kind of working, but I treated myself. I bought myself a new Shure SM58 that I'm sure to lose in the next 7 days or so. We did also invest in these heavy-duty straight stands because we were kind of tired of showing up to venues that only had boom stands, and we like to mess around with them, and they just kind of fall apart a bit. So we got some nice heavy-duty ones. The rats in all of this, my entire board goes through the effects loop of my favorite head in the world, my favorite amp, the Marshall 1959 Super Lead amplifier. I got this one used in like 2013, and I'd had many amps before, V4s and various old trainers, but this was when I plugged into this one, I've never really been interested in owning another. Because of my love of the MC5, I decided to plug straight in, and then I found that I could put my rats through the effects loop of the amp. And what basically I started as an aesthetic choice kind of became an interesting tonal choice too, because the effects loop goes between the preamp tubes and the power tubes, so you do get a different sound. It's like adding another set of distortion in between your preamp tubes and your power amp section. So it's a way different sound than if you plug straight in. So I really like that. So in terms of my EQ, I usually basically run like the volume knobs when you use the amp the way that I am with the rats. The rats become the volume of the amp. Like the rat volumes are the volume. These just control the preamp essentially. I keep these pretty equal. I jumper the channels. This also conveniently prevents my obnoxious curly cord from popping out while I'm prancing around the stage. So I keep these around the same, around 3 o'clock, so that it's just beginning to break up on the preamp section, but not really full tilt. I dial back the treble a bit and the presence because I find, particularly this guitar is quite bright. It's got a very good kind of Stooges raw power sound to it, which can be quite grating if you don't accommodate it somewhat in the EQ section of the amplifier. It just gets a little too abrasive. So I just dial that back a little bit so you keep the sting, but it's not overwhelmingly harsh to listen to. I boost up the middle and the bass a bit because the Rat pedal definitely focuses the sound a little bit, compresses the kind of tonal spectrum of it, so I try and compensate a little bit on the bass in the middle. But mainly I keep those kinds of things there just because they sit very well right there. This one's actually modified, I realized. This head, I find most super leads, like when we're in Europe and I'm just using a backline one, the high treble channel is almost unusable because it's so noisy and so bright sounding, and the normal channel is a bit too dark for my tastes. This one had the bright cap removed. It's a simple modification, but it really makes all the difference. I keep it pretty much the same every night. I don't really touch these knobs. When it comes to like adjusting my stage volume each night, I adjust them on the Rat pedals to whatever venue we are, and I basically just have whatever the first one's set at, I set the second one notch higher. I was able to acquire this beautiful 1970s Marshall 8x10 cabinet. We were on tour with an amazing band called Against Me. I couldn't help but be ogling the beautiful backline that they had. As soon as we got home from that tour, I found myself one of these guys, and I've been very happy ever since. Mostly because it's gigantic and it's just more fun. If you're gonna play in a loud rock band, you might as well go all the way. So that's essentially my rig. It's the white Les Paul Custom, white cord into the Marshall Super Lead amplifier, into the tuner, the freeze, the 2 Rats, back into the amp, and then out this goddamn giant into your beautiful ears. I think we're a pretty simple setup in terms of a rock and roll band. We don't, no samples, no tracks, the only tracks that we have is we usually play Kid Rock's Ba Wita Ba as we walk on the stage. That's the only track we play. We released the greatest rock and roll album of all time last year. It's called Master Volume. We followed it up with 2 even more amazing songs, Astro Ever After and Idiot Victory. Though you can view all of our material, Instagram, Twitter, we've got a website, thedirtynil.com. We are very, very privileged to be here in Chicago, in God's land, and playing the Idiot Victory tour for the children, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you very much.